October 25.
Order, everyone would stand, please, for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, I want to introduce Debbie. Debbie Johnson is my new assistant.
Hi, Debbie.
That's me. Travis King, Jason Florence, Ronnie Frazier, Ms. Mary Fleming, and William Kuhn, and Netta Hannon. Nice to meet you.
All right, guys, I actually called.
Let me call roll.
Oh, yes, please. You ain't got no agenda for me, so okay. Good. Roll call.
Okay, I'm done. All present.
All present? That was simple.
Got it.
We're going to try to make this short. I know everybody don't want to be here tonight, so we're going to try to make it short, sweet, fast. I had called a workshop tonight, guys. We're getting into a lot of meetings the county's calling. We entered into a interlocal, a year ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
About 2 years ago.
Over our water system, okay? We had a grant given to us by the legislative for $1 million, and we decided that Lake City was trying to run a expansion down from Ellisville to us, and we decided that would be, well, it went through a lot of, I think everybody, most was there at the meeting, but I think at the same time we had the meeting at the community center. And there was I remember there being 3 different projects up there. One was from Ellisville, the other one was Camorra Hills, and I forget the third one. What the third, I don't know what it was.
The third one was drilling wells. Well, that was in Camorra Hills. The other one was going a different route than coming down 18.
Right.
I don't really remember. But there were 3 options.
Right. So there's 3 options. Well, and that was even before the water utility. We weren't even talking about water authority at the time.
Right.
We were just trying to get our water fixed. Okay. Well, then that led into the water authority.
Well, we entered into the interlocal agreement for 3 years.
Right.
And this is the start of the 3rd year. October 1 is the start of the 3rd year, wherein we agreed that the county would operate and maintain our water system. Right. And in turn, they would handle all the billing, everything, and in turn, they would pay us $25,000 a year.
Right. And we got our 25, or is it coming up?
It was due October 1.
Okay, still have not got it. And that's just one of the many things that we have not gotten. Okay. We put in for, and I'm going to jump around a little bit here, so y'all just kind of follow me. But anyway, we did the interlocal. It's getting to the end of our contract. We decided, since we did the interlocal, that there was talks of a water authority. Okay, would Fort White be interested in doing a water authority? Now, to do a water authority, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lindsay, you must have 2 interlocal or 2 municipalities come together to form a water authority. Okay, Columbia County can't do it by themselves. Fort White can't do it by themselves. We was not the first problem they asked. Okay, they went to the city first, City of Lake City, and you know how that ended. If everybody's been watching the papers, you know how their relationship has ended up not good. They came to us secondly and asked if we'd be interested in the water authority. And at the time, I think we brought it before the board, and we decided that we would proceed forward. I think that's when you nominated me and who.
That was the Joint Utility Committee.
Right. But it was me and
Originally, it was you and David Bishop.
David Bishop, that's right.
And then when Travis took David's place.
Right. So then Travis was nominated to become on the Joint Utility Board. So we've been acting off and on. Now, we haven't attended any meetings. I haven't. I don't know if Mr. King has or not. I stopped going to the meetings probably 4 months ago.
Probably.
Right around July.
When they changed it to an earlier date or time to start,
right,
than what they were.
But the whole thing was that there was never nothing ever got accomplished. Okay, we would go sit there and talk for an hour and a half and talk about the same thing over and over and over, and nothing ever moved anywhere. So, lo and behold, several months ago or a year ago, whatever, a subdivision come into the equation. But when the subdivision come into the equation, now we're finding ourselves that things for the town are being put on hold because of we haven't all agreed on the subdivision. And one being equipment, and I've heard also through the grapevine now that the water line project has been put on hold. Okay? So, and I've got that from different sources, but they said that that would not be ran because until Fort White made their mind up on what they were doing. We came into an interlocal, 2 years ago, that we was running a water line. I don't know what the water line has got to do with the subdivision. But anyway, so that brings us all back here. I wanted to talk to everybody before we proceeded forward to figure out what, and I was hoping we'd get more residents from Fort White to be here tonight to speak up to see what the thought process of our residents was. And maybe y'all talked to them, maybe you haven't, I don't know. But we need to figure a direction that the board wants to go. Are we wanting, and I asked Mr. Carl to come in tonight, he's got a lot of knowledge and education on what we're talking about here.
Well,
so
also, Mr. Kevin Johnson.
Well, and Mr. John.
And also I asked Buster to attend because Buster knows some of the history of our water situation. Right. Mr. Johnson knows the current state of the water system and what it needs going forward.
I was getting there.
So, sorry. I just wanted to introduce
I wasn't cutting y'all out, I was getting there, okay? But anyway, so we asked some people to be here tonight to talk to us so we can make a rational decision. What direction does this board want to proceed forward? From here further, do we still want to negotiate with the county on continuing to oversee our water? And I'll tell you something that made me really mad the other day. Did everybody here get that letter that our water is fixing to go up 7%? I got it at my house.
Yeah.
I get a letter that said,
yeah, the county's raising.
Yeah, raising water
prices. Yeah.
Did y'all get
Our
that?
water, I don't know how that's.
Okay. Well, what made me upset is that the way the letter read, and I even called David Krause and I said, I like how y'all threw Fort White up under the bus, making it act like it's our fault because I've had several conversations with the county. Do you want to raise your water rates? I said, listen, I'm in saying no because we don't control the water right now. Y'all do. If you're asking me, I'm saying no, I don't want to raise water rates. But when they put the letter out to the residents, they made it sound like it was us doing it.
As the town.
Yeah. And that was just, and I told David, I said, that wasn't right. That was just a jab. That's another jab that they've made is what it is. I know exactly what it was. So anyway, so all that being said, we need to decide we can do it in 2 hours or we can do it in 10 minutes. I don't really care, but we need to figure out what direction does the board want to go from here forward. Do we want to pursue the Water Authority? And Mr. King and did Stacy, did he not come tonight?
He couldn't come tonight.
Okay, I wish he could have been here too. Because I've had several meetings with Stacy and trying to figure out the pros and cons of the Water Authority. And, I just don't, I don't know. The first agreement, this agreement that y'all are seeing here in front of us, was sent to us originally on here, and I guess they thought it was going to be dumb and sign the thing. I guess, I don't know, but they wanted it where us provide a non-biased board, but them to have a 3-2. Yeah, 3-2 vote over us. I mean, we picked up on that right out of the gate, okay? Which we changed that. Now it's a 2-2-1.
Well, there were 4 things, remember?
Well, you're right. I'll get to that part in a second, but I just want to go to that. But when it originally got sent to us, me and Miss Connie had a meeting with Greg Bailey, not on this, but this came up while we were there. And David Krause was there, and I told David, I said, that'll never fly. I said, you could tell them. So what I did is I went back and presented to them. I said, David, before I mentioned to my board, I said, you tell them to change that vote process to 2-2-1, make it an equal vote system. Then you change, I said, I think I wanted $25,000 per year up till the water system started making money. And once the water system started making money, then we got a 4.5% Well, not when it started making money, but when it overcame the 25,000. Okay,
Right.
so when it started making more than the 25,000, then we would get 4.5% of the total. What was the third thing, Scott? It was
The third thing was the county funding the budget for the authority.
yes, we did not like that because that gives them control of the water authority. We said the water authority needs to stand on its own. It needs to fund its own stuff. And there was a fourth one. I forget what the fourth one was. It was
The water line was not added into the original agreement.
that's right.
They did not take responsibility for the water line or recognize the $1 million that we've already spent in the original authority agreement that
Right.
they gave us.
So, all that being said, and we'll let Mr. King or whoever, stand up and talk about this for just a second. But all that being said, my biggest question I've talked to you several times about it, Lindsay, was if we just say, hey, go pound sand, we're moving on. What happens to our $1 million? Okay, well, from what I'm understanding, they're obligated at this point. Okay, they got a contract with us. They went and bought pipe with it, which we've already talked to. Bailey's Services got paid $300,000 for engineering services, I think it was.
Yeah, there's
Is that right? Maybe it was more than that.
a lot of.
Yes.
We spent $978,000 of the $1 million.
Right.
$349,000 of it went to pipe. The remainder is for Northport Professional Services and their design services.
Right.
Okay, a portion of that, about 8,000 of that, was for the bid process. Okay, they put out bids for the water line to be installed. Okay, there was a problem with the bids. One of the bidders, there were 4 bids. One of the bidders did not agree with the way the math was computed on the bids. And so they turned it over to an attorney out of Tallahassee. And as of today, I talked to Mr. Krause, as of today, they have no decision on whether or not they're going to accept the bids and go with the lowest bidder, or whether or not they're going to make all the bids null and void and start it.
Now, keep in mind, all this being said, guys, the water line was supposed to be completed as of this summer when we started this project. It was supposed to have been done. And we hadn't even got through the bidding process yet.
This summer, as in a couple months ago this summer.
Yes.
$650,000 went to Bailey?
For engineering, yeah.
For engineering.
Engineering.
And that was all done through, now that when we contracted the county, we had no part in that. We contracted the county, they took our money, and they've done all the contracting with Bailey's office and all that. So we didn't have no say-so over who got paid what. So here's our $1 million. All we want is a pipeline now. All we want is a water line to us. Okay? That's the only say-so we've really had at this point.
So in that agreement, if that was the case, that water line was gonna run down 41, hit 18, come into the town.
Yes.
Anything from the city limits back to 441 outside of the town of Fort White, would that be considered Fort White water, or?
Well, if they tap into,
Is
they would have to
that
tap into, they'll have to, because that's a main water line coming down, which is going to feed into our water system.
Right.
Okay, so, and our water would push it back out to all our residents, just like it is now. I guess what they would do is tap into, they will have
that
to,
engineering from.
pretty much,
Yeah.
yes. So that anything, and I even argued that point when we first started this project. You remember when I said, okay, any growth off this main water line, where's the town going to be compensated for this? Because we're giving y'all $1 million. We're partners. Y'all keep calling us partners. We're partners. And they all sat at the table. I was sitting at the Columbia County Courthouse that day. Greg Bailey and all of them laughed. Oh, there's no money in water. I'm like, okay.
We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. And if it starts making water, we'll talk about it then. I said, I don't like that answer too good, but I said, I'll revisit that with y'all at a later date. So I left it alone and didn't go into detail at that time. So, but yes, that would be, so I even approached Krause with the idea, why don't y'all put it at the end of 441 down there, where 441 hit, or at the end of 18, put a major meter in right there. And anything that's pumped from that meter to us here is our water. That's our stuff. And we can branch off any of them lines that we want to and expand into subdivisions wherever we want to do. Now that, like I said, that hasn't been talked about because that was just just me and him talking back and forth, trying to figure out what direction, if we don't want to go with the water authority, where do we go from here? Where does the meter go? Are we still going to do the water line? Because I keep hearing talks that they're not, if we don't do the water authority, they're not going to do the water line.
Which is separate. So they created,
The water line was
Two
agreed
other-
upon way before they decided
To do the water
form
authority.
an authority.
Right.
so why can't we just go back to step one and say, let's cross this bridge and then go to the next
What do you mean?
authority?
Give us our water.
Well,
Yeah, we
basically-
want our water.
Right.
But basically, that's basically what happened this week, because we had our attorney write a letter to the chairman of the county commissioners stating that fact along with two other facts.
Right.
So, basically, he said in that letter,
Guys, listen.
where's our
What
water
was the
line? We need a
percentage? You said
completion.
4 point something
For-
like that.
and that came from Grady. That came from a guy that's worked out of Okeechobee and stuff. He presented the idea that the way Okeechobee lined their program is that when Okeechobee and the town and all that, they kind of did the same thing. So they formed a water authority. When they did, they agreed on a 4.5% rate. Yeah, 4.5 of whatever the total net profit. I know you're not supposed to, in
Well-
governmental work, you're not supposed to use the word profit, but the retainings, each person would get 4.5.
Well, and the attorney that the county has hired to form this water authority by the name of Grady Thomas out of Jacksonville.
That's Grady, right? Grady?
Grady.
Grady, yeah, Grady.
I have on my notes where we had that meeting, he also said that 4.5%, Clay County gets 4.5% from the Clay Water Authority that they have over there, and that's customary.
Right, yeah. And that was in that meeting that day at Greg Bailey's office,
Right, which I've got my notes here. The
Right.
guy you talked to in Okeechobee was John Hayford.
No, yeah, that's what I meant. I talked to John in Okeechobee, but I talked to Grady at that meeting.
Right.
Grady was the one that referenced the 4.5%. John didn't even go into what they were getting. I didn't even go into the detail what he was getting, so but Grady had already told me what they were getting.
So is all these authorities and blah, blah, blah in this interlocal here, not just the water line we started with, or y'all started with before we come on
There's
board?
two.
Because there's what, the Ichetucknee Water Authority, and then now there's what's,
The other one, the regional thing.
yeah, regional utility.
Yeah.
We started out with a joint utility authority between the town and the county, okay? That morphed into Greg Bailey taking it upon himself to call in Suwannee County, Union County, Baker County, Hamilton County, and Columbia County, and start the wheels in motion to form a regional utility. Okay? Right now, this utility authority is going to be between Columbia County and the town of Fort White. However, they are intending to go and recruit others if they want to join this utility authority. Suwannee County, Hamilton County, et cetera, et cetera.
So they're trying to combine the two.
Yes.
Essentially, they would combine this.
But I done heard, I think, was it Swanee that told them to go pound
Union.
sand? Or Union?
Union.
Yeah. Guys, anybody in their right mind is a small municipality like Union County, McClenny, whatever, if they've got a good water source and they've got a great revenue coming off of it, why are they going to give it to Columbia County? That'd be the stupidest thing in the world to do. Yeah, it's not going to happen. So they can go and try to solicit all these other joining counties that they want to. The only reason we ever thought about joining was because of the position we were in. So unless they find another municipality like ourselves, I don't foresee anybody giving a water source up. That'd be crazy to me. I'm like,
Well, the main reason we entertained it was because of our water quality.
right.
However, now there has been more information gathered about improving our water quality, utilizing some different type of chemicals, okay? Now, let me regress a little bit. We received $300,000 from the American Rescue Plan money.
That's art money.
Yes. That $300,000, we agreed with the county to spend that on the water system here in Fort White to make improvements.
But you had to spend it on our water source, so it
Yes,
wasn't.
we had to spend it on our water, yes.
Because I was trying to do it on roads and stuff.
But this came.
They wouldn't let us do it. They wouldn't let us do it.
But they took it over.
I was trying.
Okay, so we said, okay, y'all are responsible for the maintenance, the operation, everything on on our water, okay? But we have this $300,000 over here that has to be spent on the water. So, what about making us a deal where you provide us with some equipment that we desperately need, because we can't spend that $300,000 on equipment. We can only spend it on the water plant.
Right.
They agreed that they would buy us the equipment that we need.
What Mr. Buster and them put in for
In
backhoe.
lieu of us spending that $300,000 on the water system.
Right.
Okay? We have approximately $67,000 left of that money. Now, in the midst of all of this, a product we have continued to fail our water testing because of too many disinfection byproducts being in our water system. Okay? The hydrogen peroxide we put in improved some of that, but there was so many byproducts left in the water that the hydrogen peroxide system did not cure the problem 100%.
When the county thought it would.
No, that was Florida Rural Water Association that convinced us to put that in. And they paid for it, okay? Because they did it as a test case. So we still have this issue of the tannin on occasion when it rains a lot, and we have these byproducts still in the water, okay? Coast Pump comes along and meets with Stacy and Kevin and Robert Domingue, the three major people that operate the utility for the town of Fort White, and sell them on this product called catalogs. We paid $20-some thousand for the catalogs, okay? They come and they do these tests and they do this demonstration, and the catalogs isn't doing what they said it was going to do. So, I'm paraphrasing, so if I'm not saying anything correct, please correct me.
Every single day, pumping water,
What,
every day.
the equipment, the backhoe, and what else was offered?
We still don't have
No, what else was offered though? The backhoe
the
and...
backhoe, a new dump truck,
A
and
dump
the
truck.
backhoe would have a
Gravel
fork and a bucket.
Bucket.
Right.
And it was supposed to be here, I believe, this week.
No, it's already been, it's in. The backhoe has been in
We talked to
for,
Kevin, but remember he said we was waiting on the grapple, and we made a note on your schedule to
yes,
call back.
we haven't
I
heard
believe it
word.
was this week.
We haven't heard.
They brought us a backhoe to use, and then within a week,
They come back and
they
got it.
came back and got it, said they
Ain't
didn't.
that right, Buster?
About 2 days.
About 2 days. So 2 days. Let's not give.
Have they ever told anybody they offered one at the ball field anytime they need one? Has anybody ever heard that?
No.
What do you mean?
There's one that sits at the ball field down there. And
There is one that sits down there.
We're supposed to be able to use it anytime we want to.
You heard that?
No, that's what I'm making.
Well, no, we was supposed to have a brand new cat.
Yeah, I understand that, but I was, in the meantime,
Right.
they had one down here that we could get
Right.
anytime we needed, because they hardly ever
No,
use it.
we had it
But
dumped
it sits
in.
down here at the ball field.
We had to dump in, I don't know how much money
Yeah.
not long ago to keep this one rolling.
I forget, what was that? How much was that?
$2,000.
How much?
To,
2, yeah, which, it'd been a lot more than that, you know, I mean,
yeah. And that was
Anyway,
just
the catalog, let me go
and that was a
back.
Band-Aid.
Let me go back to the catalogs, okay? The catalogs didn't work. Bottom line, catalogs didn't work. Coast Pumps come back and said, well, we'll take it back, but you have to pay $1,000 restocking fee. And there's this new product that they've tested, and they've gone and looked at it being in use at Otter Creek, that will make our water supposedly look like that bottled water right there, which will solve the tannin and the byproducts. Well, that's an additional $57,000. So, I wrote an email to Robert Domingue, who is the person that's above Kevin, and I said, I just don't feel comfortable spending another $57,000 with a company that misrepresented, first off, what the original product would do, number one, and number two, is going to charge us $1,000 restocking fee. No, I don't think that's fair. If they want to be good stewards of their reputation, they should take the catalogs back entirely and give us a full credit and give us a discount on the new product that they say is going to do the trick, which is another $57,000. We have the money to do it.
They're selling both products.
They're selling both products, and
Right.
so it's definitely it looks to me like a big bait and switch thing going on. So I had a conversation with David Krause today, and he agrees with me that something needs to be done. We don't know what. This Coast Pump is supposedly the only dealer in the state of Florida that's allowed to sell these products, so we're kind of stuck with them. So David's going to get Steve Roberts, the head who took Stacy's place, Robert, myself, David, and I'd like to have Kevin there and have a meeting either the end of this week, beginning of next week, to get this issue
Can you go to the
resolved.
meetings now?
Yes, he's here.
No, I'm saying, he is here, ain't he?
But anyway, here's my thing with bringing all that.
Don't quit
Here's
doing
my
it.
thing
I
with
mean,
bringing all
not really with them.
I mean, are you really here or are you not here? I
No,
mean,
I had a discussion prior to coming, and I said, look, this was requested, I know, so do you have an issue with me going? And he said, no, not at all.
okay. All right. Good.
So, as I told him, I generally keep my mouth shut.
Right. And guys, where we're going at with this, he's been told not to come to our meetings. Now, he's the water guy in Fort White, but he's been told by higher ups he cannot come to our meetings. Not only has he been, I'm trying to fill y'all in as we go. Not only was Kevin told not to come to our meetings, but our old water guy, Stacy, that was over all the water plants, he was told not to come attend our meetings.
Well, he
They
was
could not
told
be
not
here.
to talk to us at all.
And he almost lost his job up there in Lake City, because I had called David Krause on a matter and found out that Rocky Ford and Kevin Kirby called him behind closed doors and asked him why he was down here having meetings with me and Connie. He said we hadn't had no meetings, but they had gotten word that he was, it doesn't matter. He runs our water, so what does it matter if we have a question to ask him? So anyway, make a long story short. So anyway, that brings you up to that speed. So
So the catalogs, getting back to the catalogs, the reason I think the catalogs is important is because, according to Stacy, if that new medium will make our water like this, it kind of gives us an insurance policy, if you will, where we don't necessarily need that water line.
well, Kevin, you use it, right?
I use a very similar product at my farm, and my water is far worse than the water here, and it has been tested at Otter Creek.
Right. You showed me pictures of that, so I seen
And
it.
Otter Creek their disinfection byproducts are down below 10. And the limit is like, say, 60, I think it's 60 and 80 if I remember right.
Right.
And they're down below 10 after using it with water that you saw the image of. And that's the product that,
So why wasn't that offered first?
it's a good question.
I'm just curious, yeah.
And it's one that I've been not involved in the discussion of, so. I
Do
can't-
you know, Connie, why that wasn't? that
No,
product?
we had no knowledge of anything. All we knew was we were waiting for 44 hours for the permit to be issued by DEP to install this catalogs medium. Well, then the next thing I know, well, there's a big blow up about the catalogs.
Is the catalogs in the green sand, is that the same thing?
It is a replacement for green sand.
Okay, so we didn't really use the green sand, we used
We have, the Codalux has not been installed.
Okay, so we never
So
did
it's
the green
still in
sand
the
either, so, okay.
The idea is when the other gets delivered, they're gonna take that away at the same time they would bring the new.
And they said that the life expectancy of this stuff is like I think green sand was like whatever 2-4 years or something. The green sand.
It's probably at least that.
Okay.
This material is probably closer to 10 years.
Yeah, I heard it was 10 to 12 plus. And they said also with the charcoal filters we were using, that was so expensive, it even makes them last a lot longer also. So I'm on this water stuff. You hear me? I have learned more about water systems than I ever wanted to know, to tell you.
So I guess I just wanted the council to realize that we do have an option, if you will, the way that all the data and all the information that we've been told will supply us with good water. And I even had a conversation with Stacy about, another reason we entered into that agreement to run that water line down here is because we were told our wells are bad, okay? We've been on one well. Well, according to Stacy, this new medium that we're trying to get installed here, he thinks will cure the problem with both wells so that we will have good water in two good functioning wells.
One well is better than the other well. Well 1 is better than well 2. Well 2 is better than well 1.
One's a 6-inch and one's a 4-inch.
Right, so the one well they say is really good water, the other one is not so good water. But they're thinking that this...
Let Kevin address
They're
that.
both not exactly great.
Okay.
Now,
I'll tell you that.
I forget my ignorance on it. What's not good about the well? Like the tank or the pipe or
You've got-
just water?
The water itself, it's coming up out of the well. It's directly influenced by quite a few things from the study that we just had done.
Storm
And
drain?
storm water is a big factor in it.
Is there an option to
Wells on
redirect
grade.
that?
Neither. Well, here.
The groundwater is the
neither well
groundwater.
grade.
Yeah.
But this new medium is supposed to take care of that.
What, Kevin, and we could ask Mr. King his opinion on it too, but my thought process during this whole thing that we've done with Columbia County, I'm like, we are running water lines, 7 miles? 8 miles? How far is Yellowstone?
Oh, the water is 11.
6 miles, don't they?
11 miles.
So 11 miles, we're running water lines 11 miles, okay? I've always had this thought process. So you're running 11 miles of water line and you're getting it to here, to our holding tank here. How many times that thing's got to be treated from there to there to here and then treated when it goes back out? So I'm going, you're taking water and you're treating it so many times. I mean, to me, when you treat something, you're putting contaminants in it. You not call it contaminants. Is it chlorine? What is it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I haven't seen the designing of it.
So I'm just wondering, as health down the road, I'm like, hell, I mean, if you treat it so many times, now you're drinking Clorox, you ain't drinking water no damn more.
It wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be that.
Well, I know, but still, if you take a drop of Clorox and put it in here, and I drink it for so many years, sooner or later it's going to catch up with me, I guess. I mean, I'm just going, how long before we get back to purified water, I guess is what, that's my whole concept, is like going, how can we get really good water? I mean, spring water.
The material that is being looked at will give you that result. And that was the discussion I had before coming, was basically, had I been able to be here after finding out that it was requested, I could probably have explained it at the time, and then a lot of this wouldn't have been an issue. Because I don't think anybody had explained what this material actually will do.
Did our pipe get fixed yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
They ordered the parts.
So it'll be $100,000 for both wells, 50,000
No.
for
Oh, no.
No, total.
The material is to replace, there's two sets of filters. The material that she's discussing is the first filtration system, and it will remove basically everything, that you will end up with just water that goes into the carbon filters before it goes into the storage tanks. And it will eliminate the need of using sodium permanganate, which works with the green sand to remove the iron, because this material removes the iron.
Now, I know you, at the last meeting we had, well, it wasn't really a meeting, it was just bypassing. You said that you thought that they had, the quantity that we needed, you thought we could go with less. Did we ever find that out to be fact?
I believe that Robert recently found out that it's going to still be at 210.
It is,
And
okay.
210 is a little bit less than the carbon. The carbon is 240. So I think that difference is the difference that I was.
Are you saying it's swells when it?
It's not necessarily the expansion, but I think it's for when it's backwashing,
Yeah.
that it has to have a larger area during the backwashing process.
Gotcha.
So that you don't lose the material. I have not looked at all the specs on that. That's what it appears.
This is the letter that
What about
we
the
had things
tanks?
extended to the county.
Tanks are still
Then
being
we
used
feel
at some
it's
point.
Yeah, but how long is that anyway? Because 2 years ago, we heard they was in bad shape, and then when we got the report back, they wasn't in as bad shape. They told us.
Well, a tank has been replaced.
So, you know,
If
That tank,
was just
the
gonna be a
hydrodynamic tank,
tank.
when you first drive into the water tank, big white tank, that was.
that wasn't original. We're just finding this stuff out now. This is the first time we've heard that we were getting told that well, Bill just brought it up, that our water tanks were bad, the piping was bad, it was everything. I mean, the water's bad, the wells is bad, stormwater, we know what's going on with stormwater, which I predicted that way back when, before they did an investigation on it. So all that being said, I mean, it was just kind of like, what the hell, I mean, what do you kind of.
Does that matter?
And that's when we was all in the play box playing good with each other too, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we've spent quite a bit of money. We've replaced several pumps. We got a new water tank.
And you
All
got-
that came out of that ARP money.
Yes, and then you got a new generator.
Yes.
We got a new generator, we got a new, so that whole place down there, besides the water tanks, it's pretty much new. I
An
mean,
alarm system.
Was that with the county helping out with this interlocal, getting that right?
No,
Or
we
that money
paid
we
for
spent
it.
and had
We
it?
spent
It come out of our money.
That most things around there are new.
It come,
Well, why don't we get our $1 million back, get this set and tell them
Not complete, but
to
yeah.
bye-bye?
yes, sir, I'm sorry.
What's the worst around there? Just the most expensive?
Tires.
The what?
The material to filter it out.
The what
That's
else?
truly going to make when you want to know what's going to make the biggest difference in the water quality and the plant, and get DEP off the back, that would be it.
That would be it.
That would be the one thing that.
Well, let me ask you this, now you said the water, we did, what, 2 years ago, we had the tanks investigated,
Yes.
was it 2 years ago?
The inspection was was a little bit before I got here.
Because I know they gave us a
And they
10
give
or
us
15 year from that
They
point.
give us a good,
It's a-
it was a lot better report than we was expecting.
We thought there was holes in it and all kind of stuff, but it was,
I can go over what we've spent the majority of the ARP money on. We replaced fire hydrants. We put an alarm system on the water plant. We put in some pumps and tank relining. We did a center pump and tank relining. We did a replacement motor and pump. We did a water tank replacement to the tune of $95,000. We replaced another pump. We replaced we spent money on the catalogs, and we replaced a small high-pressure pump, and we paid to have all of the new meters installed. The meters themselves,
So we own the meters.
the meters themselves were paid for by a grant from Swanee River Water Management District. But yes, we do own, because we own the water system.
now, another thing to keep in mind, if we as a board decide to go forward with the water authority, so don't let me forget to call you next, I just remember you. You're raising your hand, you being good tonight, I like you. You being quiet for once, I'm like, anyway, if we do decide to go forward with this, guys, we have to sign over our water. All of it. It gets signed. We don't own it. The town of Fort White owns it right now. But we will not own it if we decide to push forward and enter into a contract with the water authority.
Nor will we own the sewer.
Sewer or water? The water
authority.
authority. The water authority.
Permanently, because we ain't getting out of it. We can't get out of that.
No, not once you enter this is a done deal. I mean, it's
Forever.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're done. You're done. So that's why before we went any further with this, I wanted to have a meeting and let's talk about this. And
What is our option?
Hold it ourselves.
If we take it back ourselves, we would have to spend approximately $25,000 on a software billing system, because these new meters that were installed do not work off of the RVS system that we had. We would have to do, that would be one cost. Another cost would be, we would be responsible for the chemicals that would be required to operate the plant.
Yeah, but that's going to come when you're going to start water bill. If we take it back over, you'll start your water
Right,
billing back
I'm
up.
just
So
saying,
that'll pay
but
for
we
itself.
would have some expenses up front. We would need an operator. That operator is gonna need a truck. We would have some expenses that we would,
How'd we do this before?
but
To
We had
Mr. Buster did it.
Vernon.
Vernon did it. Well,
Vern and Buster did it
but they
together,
had to do it under the
twofold water
two-folds.
engineering.
Yeah, we were paying to, just like two-fold would come out, we'd have a water meter put in. Buster and Vern would put it in, they'd stand there and they'd bill us for doing it. But they had to be there because they were the engineers, so they had to be on site when it got happened. They were licensed. So Buster didn't do all the work, but they get paid for it. And
Now, the
so-
drawback of that, of not having an operator on staff, is that twofold would come in and just do their inspections. And if they would just write down in the book about what the tests were. They didn't ever tell us ahead of time, well, this is gonna be a problem, you need to plan for this needs to be replaced, blah, 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 blah. They were simply there to ensure that the testing was being done and signing off on the testing.
Here's the bottom line in a nutshell, guys, and I'm not gonna try to keep you here all night. If we want to move forward with this and take this back over, we might as well get ready, because we're going to be taking the sewer over too. So we might as well get ready to start beefing the
I was
department.
gonna ask, is the operator that does the water, can they do the sewage at the same time?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's
This
twofold.
grant we have for the sewer, if the county's not involved, do we still get the grant?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
You sure of that?
Yeah, that's our grant.
We're already drawing money off of it right now.
Yes. It's to the town of Fort Lake.
And the county can't even get to that grant. I mean, Miss Connie had to get an argument with the county on that because they were trying to bill, what were they trying to do that you had to
Pay
get?
for stuff and get reimbursed out of our
And we
money.
couldn't reimburse them. We have to pay for it. I mean, the town has to be sending the money to the grant source. They send the money out. So yeah, so the sewer, that's not a problem.
Well,
That
sewage
sewer,
is years down the road anyways.
it's 5, 6, I mean, it's
Not
probably
that
5
long,
years. So.
no.
Well,
I say 5 years, and we've been waiting on water for 2 years. We still ain't got it, so I'm gonna say 5. So.
Well, that's,
Oh, Stu, I'm sorry, guys. Let Stu talk. Go ahead, Stu.
I've got a couple of things. I figured this out, must have been a couple of years ago, and I don't think I used the 11-mile figure, that the pipe from Ellisville to here is like a 1-million-gallon reservoir. It's gonna look like you're gonna have to treat it somewhere in the middle, because you guys aren't using.
And I think we've said that. I think Bailey said he's going to have to treat it in the
So
middle
that's just
somewhere.
the point. I mean, that's 1 million gallons sitting in a pipe. About that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, that there's 2 utility authorities, as far as I understand it, that are being talking about. This one, between the town of Fort White and the county. The regional utility, this other thing, that's coming out of, that initially started out of North Florida Professional Services in Dale Williams. You might not say Dale Williams, but Dale Williams, he's Dale Lobbyist. They were looking to form a regional utility. If you join this, then it would appear, you need to talk to your attorney, that the county is now this, and you guys are just observers.
Right.
So that might be something you want to think about. I don't know what the water quality is at Ellisville. This was way before this gentleman was involved. But I know they ended up digging a bunch of wells before they found the right water. I don't know what kind of water you're getting out of Ellisville. I know that a letter was sent to the Justice Department about what was going on there, and the Justice Department kind of shrugged. But that whole thing, you need to be careful, and I'm not saying that anybody's going to do anything icky, but where you get your water from. If you control your own water, then you know where you're getting your water from.
Right.
When the water's coming from Ellisville, it's coming from Ellisville. And the WMD, the Water Management District, they got tied in with North Florida Professional Services. When this utility started, and through public record, you know nobody likes public records laws, but they really work, is that the Water Management District was standing in to North Florida Professional Services, inviting people to these meetings. If you guys didn't get an invitation, that may be an indication of where you stand, and I gotta look at the emails. But that's the only 4 things I have. So I'm just hoping you think about it. I just write stories, but
Right.
you guys love a story.
I said you are the story. All right.
Mr. King has been going to these authority meetings.
Yes, I was going to get him up. I want him to say, Mr. King, you okay with talking a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you've been a part of the joint utility meeting for a while now. So I just kind of want to get, if you could enlighten them on a little bit, because you've sat up there. I mean, you've had several different conversations ourselves, so I just kind of like to get your opinion on what you think also.
Well, I think first off, my first opinion would be to get legal counsel to recommend what legal avenue you have to take before you decide on one, because you certainly don't want to lose $1 million.
Right.
Second thing I would do is I would suggest that you put together a committee to research what it's going to cost if the town's intending on taking it on, what resources you're going to have, what's your outlay, and how are you going to cover it. I am all about keeping self-rule small. I think more government is more trouble. I am a member of the South Columbia County Utility Committee, I guess. And there's a lot of things that's been going on. Number one, with the Ichetucknee Water Authority, Mr. Grady put that together so that these other county entities can join onto that, so it wouldn't be a third utility if Live Oak wants in. Live Oak is very interested in coming on because they're kind of like Fort White. Their economy's depressed. They have no funding, but from what I understand, the big scheme of things is that they spread it around and get multiple counties, then they're going to leverage the state as far as getting funding grants. And I was on Monday, I was at the legislative delegation for Columbia County and sat through that and talked with Ms. Bradley and Mr. Brannon about, matter of fact, I had texted you and asked if you wanted me to advocate for the town, and I did. And told them what our issues was with, Fort White don't have so much. We've got a lot of wants, but we have immediate needs. We're not asking for money for a ballpark, or we're not asking for money for a road extension, for Florida Power and Light's big storm response. We need water for our citizens.
Right.
And they was very receptive to that. So, getting back onto the water, there will be a pump station, a lift station, if you will, out at the old fire department out there by the old school, where they will bring water in and treat. Now, there's not been no cost factors put into that. It's just, I guess there's a pot of money out there that you can just get as much as you want to. But they've not really put together any budget that you could say, well, this makes sense or this don't make sense. I've questioned from the get-go, well, how you could pump water from Ellisville when we've got a well field that we can utilize at Memorial Hills, which is, depending on how you route it, is less than half the distance to a third of the distance. But I've never been given an adequate reason as to, other than that they had that facility there and it would just make maintenance sense. I see you grinning, Ken. I understand. It just makes sense to people that really hadn't had to work within a budget to say, well, yeah, we'll just consolidate everything right here. Well, it's not that simple. So, I think right now is the way Mr. Grady has got that drawn up. I think, 2 and 2 was fair, and then one person agreed to by each side would be the only way to go. But I don't think any political figure, whether it be a county commissioner or a town councilman, should be in charge of that committee, because it's just way too much politics.
Right.
So I don't know if I've answered anything or just talked around the corner or what, but I do know that Fort White's the pearl. If Fort White can be signed on, then it leverages a lot of the, look at our tax base. That tells you everything you need to know about getting funds or getting grants. And that's the reason why they, I think, don't have anything in writing, but just, I think that's why the county is so adamant about getting the town of Fort White to sign on. It's just not going to be too many years in the future where the state's going to mandate that all that growth down at Three Rivers, including here, that, when your septic goes out, you got to pay tremendously, or you got, if there's a septic system, then you're going to have to get on it. I would defer to legal counsel as to giving a clear recommendation as to what you're looking at, and then make a decision after that. And I would probably ask that you have another meeting before you make sure you know what you're doing, because the county doesn't come back. They're gonna know what went on here tonight, and they're gonna know that they're not dealing with the whole town of Fort White.
They demanded a meeting for next week, right?
November 1st, yes.
At the last commission meeting, whether without us, they
Well,
wouldn't
I
have
understand
it.
they haven't at the first.
So with all the meetings that you attended for the utilities, what's layman's term and realistically, where are we at with running a pipe that we agreed upon first to bring good water here? When would that realistically happen?
Well, I do know that the engineering's done. The bids went out in September.
And they got kicked out.
Some said that they got kicked out. Mr. Cross at the legislative delegation said they hadn't been open.
No, you said they were open.
Did he say they were open when they hadn't been awarded? Okay, so,
They were open September 23rd. So this has been going on for a month.
right.
Well, that's where I keep getting feedback that somebody put a hold on it, so we can figure out what the town of Fort White, what they're going to decide. So,
Well, and you know how that goes. Depending on where you put your ears, you can hear all kind of things. But I think really, you'd be first of the year before you had any groundbreaking. I mean, you still got the right-of-way issues to come down through.
They're doing good to get it, to break ground before the first of the year.
Yeah.
Or even first few months of the year.
And then all of the logistics have to be worked out, like Ronnie brought up at the start of, where's Fort White's water going to start and where's the county's going to end? You know, a growing town.
That's why they want this.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
But, you know, if you're going to annex, you know, if you're going to become a real town, you're going to have to annex, you're going to have to increase your tax base. So then what kind of battle are you going to get in there if, you know, if the county's supplying your water or they're, you know, I think in the grand scheme of things, they'd like to take over everything. And then you
I've heard that too.
economy.
I've heard that too.
We talked several times about the rate increases up there, and it was supposed to have been postponed until next year. Now,
Right.
all of a sudden, it's
Now it's here.
an increase.
Well, if you remember when we first started that, we had the highest rates there.
Yes.
And they were talking about at one time bringing our rates down to theirs. I'm like, sure. I mean, we're not in control of it no more. I would 100% vote for that.
Yeah.
But then they started talking about bringing everybody else's rates up to ours.
Well,
And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get a rate increase.
we had a resolution passed where we agreed that it was going to be a 3% increase or the
Right.
CPI, whichever was greater. And we did an amended resolution last October 1st where we put that rate increase on hold. We did not have a rate increase last October 1st.
Right.
This October 1st, they wanted to go ahead with the rate increase. And they were going to increase theirs to be the same to match, okay? So, you know, the fact that they sent that letter out indicating that it was the town of Fort White, no, they're the ones that decided they wanted to go ahead with the rate increase. Now, as far as the legislative appropriations go, we have until November that's how we got the $1 million, the first million, okay? We have until November the 18th to submit for this upcoming year for additional monies. I have contacted Brian Roche at North Florida Professional. He's the head person, if you will. And I have said to him, look, we need to be applying for either a water issue, stuff for the water plant, or we need to be applying for another phase of our sewer system.
But how can we guarantee that that stuff's getting done?
What do you mean, getting
Apply,
submitted?
yeah.
When you apply, they'll give you a number,
Yeah.
case number.
Well, I'm saying, we're working on days right now.
I know, I called him, I said, come on, he's supposed to be calling me back and getting together at the beginning of next week to get rolling on submitting a request to the state legislature for funding for this coming year. See, and that's what the problem was. We never got notified to be at that meeting. Therefore, we didn't have a wish list, and that's where Carl stepped in and punted for us. Remember? You weren't notified, I wasn't notified of anybody about this legislative meeting that the county went to and presented this big, long wish list.
Well, any other year, I'd have got a phone call, but just not this year.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Bradley was adamant that, you know, the town needs to get their request in as soon as possible.
Right. So we need to make sure,
And
yeah.
myself, I would advise, if North Florida isn't playing ball, then I would write it up. We had a talk after the meeting, and she said she was very receptive to
Right.
Fort White's need in the rural community.
Can we write it up ourselves and submit it?
Yes.
I mean, How
The
hard would
reason I
that be?
contacted North Florida Professional Services is because they have all the data already for the next phase of the sewer.
Right.
Okay, so, you know, until we make a decision about the water, the sewer is the next thing to submit money, to ask money for, the next phase.
I'd like to ask for some more money for water too, though. You're asking, I got a big one list.
Well, we'd have to have the data and everything to back it up. You can't just go say, hey.
Well, as much as the town has spent.
Well, I didn't have no data when I asked her for money 3 years ago. I went in there and asked for money.
Oh, there was an application done. I have a copy of it.
I didn't do it.
Somebody did it.
God, did you know
That's
that?
part of our agreement with North Florida Services,
Yeah, but I
though, is
mean-
to do this. However,
What I'm
at
saying
the
is-
end of the day, everything,
It seems like it don't get done, you know what I'm saying? That's the things that don't get done, and we end up waiting another year to ask, and I mean, we're running out of years, and I'm like,
I sent him three funding opportunities already in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't heard back. And
that's what's
so I
scaring me,
bugged
then
him about it
we're doing on
again.
18 days right now to ask for
Bugged
money.
him about it again day before yesterday, and that's what I was told, so I'll call him again tomorrow.
Well, if he doesn't submit it, we need to write something up and submit it. I mean, I don't know. I'll write, hey, call me. I'll send her a text message. Hey, we need this amount of money. I'll send you an application later.
I do have one question for Miss Connie though, on the new treatment that y'all are talking about. Is there any data reflecting that works, and what is there any downside, Ken, to this treatment? Everything.
Kevin, but yeah, there is data for it. I think I sent a copy of like their regular spec sheets of it. One of the beauties of it is actually when it does expire, you mix it into concrete. It's that safe, and you can actually use it as a super hardened concrete. And there's a whole bunch of actually pretty good aspects to this stuff. But I can send you a copy of the info.
Yeah,
He's got video, before you leave, look at it, but he's got video of what it did for Otter Creek. Otter Creek's water looked like the Swanee River water. It was crazy. And after they started using this stuff, it's clear as that water bottle.
well, my concern, not so much water clarity, is what's actually in the water.
Well, me too, yeah, most
You
definitely.
know what I mean? It's one thing to have clear water, but another thing to have cyanide in that clear water.
Well, that's exactly right.
The byproducts and the chemical residue is basically non-existent.
So if they pick up the product that was misrepresented, it's an additional $57,000. So are they given, how much did the other stuff?
They're giving you the 20.
They're giving us 19, we paid 20.
Okay.
So they're charging us $1,000 stocking fee.
Right.
So the 57 is on top of the 20.
Yeah.
And legal counsel has not got any qualms about them misrepresenting?
Well, I've discussed it with Lindsay, and we're going to see, we've been holding back, waiting to see what Coast's offer is going to be.
Legal counsel hasn't been directed to do anything.
Right.
Legal counsel doesn't act independently.
Legal counsel
I'll take that as my cue.
Legal counsel's been made aware of the situation, and that's another reason for my discussion today with Mr. Kraus, and saying, hey, come on, we need an answer.
What do you, Kevin, you think it was a misrepresentation? Or do you think it was just, they believed in one product at one time and all of a sudden
there's
there's...
a little bit of a mixture of various things.
So,
I mean, it's because you've got, we physically,
you've worked for the county way too long.
we physically saw the results.
I shouldn't have said that, shouldn't I?
They brought over a filter that we tested at the water plant, and the physical results of it were amazing. And then gave the information of the product. And the information of the product when I went and tested it at a later date, when the items were here, the results did not match up to the information from the product. And a few people went, wait a minute, this isn't the right product to put in here, at the same company of the ones that said, oh, this is what you need, let's go ahead and write this up. So I know there was some stuff like that that was going on. All the details on it, I haven't been involved in.
So then you would get into, Lindsay, let me just backtrack a little bit, you're going to get into trying to prove somebody totally realistically misrepresented selling a product. So my big thing, why would he try to sell it?
He's got.
I know, but why would somebody try to sell you a cheaper product when they have a more expensive product? I would try to sell a more expensive product to you.
When they came back at a later date, they brought this other product. From what I understand originally, and see, I didn't set up any meetings, but it had to do with the green sand replacement. So the green sand replacement would have been Codalux. But what ended up determining, after though the Codalux worked fantastic on the test, when we actually put the Codalux in a filter from the bags we got, it did not do the same results that the other did. And so that's when Robert and I went, wait, hold on a minute here, we need to look at this.
So you don't know what they had in that filter?
Okay.
Filter had Codalux written on it, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
No, but be good.
Boy, Lindsay, you gotta start breaking filters open and stuff if you're ready.
What do you guys go, what would you go after for the $1,000?
I mean, for the $1,000 difference, it's not,
Yeah.
to me,
that'd be ridiculous.
I personally,
Right.
but I do know that that material is outrageously expensive. I would say that's the cheaper side.
Did you call him and ask him, could we get it cheaper since we've been trying to go, as he said he replied, or?
That's out of my realm of abilities.
Should I call him?
That's not out of your realm of abilities, it's out of your realm of
Responsibility.
hierarchy, if you will. Hierarchy.
Let's go back to our $1 million.
What is Lindsay?
Yeah.
Lindsay, what if we tell him to go pound sand, where's our $1 million? What happens with that?
I've got a couple thoughts. I've waited patiently.
Thank you.
It's my understanding, and obviously, y'all know I've come in sort of on the tail end of a lot of these things. Sorry. In some ways, I don't feel extremely comfortable with offering opinions on things that I don't have a lot of knowledge about.
Right.
So, bear with me. The $1 million that we talk about, the 978 or whatever I put in the letter, that we have allowed the county to spend already, a good portion of that went to engineering, correct? And a portion of that went to actually buy pipe that is on the ground, okay? I think that it would be difficult to go through the process of saying we want our actual money back. I think that it may be a better use of our time and the town's best interest to say, do what you've been ordered and we've agreed to do. And then as far as going forward, that we want to say, and we're done. So you're going to do what this $978,000 bought, and then we don't have to go any further with them. I guess the big question that I haven't heard discussed a lot is, what is the advantage for us, for the town, for being in the authority? We've talked about a lot of things, but what's the advantage? What do we get out of it? What positive is going to come out of it?
About being in the authority?
Being in the authority. What is the positive? What do we get?
I mean,
Don't be nothing.
Well, yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
the first question you guys ought to consider.
Well, the only thing that well, the way I wrote it up, which I don't think they're gonna agree to it, would be the $25,000 a year, and we're not doing anything. And then the 4.5% once it starts making more than 25,000 after that. That's the only thing really positive about it. But I don't even know if you call the 25,000 a positive. I mean,
Getting a paycheck for doing nothing. There.
Sure,
I don't like that.
Yeah,
But-
we have no.
But then you're giving up all your
But
assets.
you're
as well.
Right.
and I'm not advocating for not doing this. I just want to point out a few things. That if you do that, you're right. You're basically locking yourself into more or less a static amount of money that you're going to get, no matter how much this place grows or if it doesn't grow, this area. But you're locking yourself into a static amount. You're giving up the control. The other sort of elephant in the room that I think you guys need to think about is how the actual governance of this authority is going to work. And I can tell you, and I'm not going to name names because Stu will put it in the paper if I do. But I am well aware of other groups like this authority that is being proposed that are dumpster fires.
I've heard that same thing.
I mean, they are dumpster fires. You can put that in paper because I'm not hearing it. You've got basically, that agreement says that the members get $100 a meeting, okay? So you're going to have massive turnover. You're going to have God syndrome of the people that get on it. You're going to have people who are appointed by each group who are going to absolutely do one of two things. They're either going to be 100% controlled by the boards that appointed them. And you say, well, that's good. Well, guess what? The county's going to be the same way.
Right.
So they're going to 100% control the people that they put on the board. Or you're going to put people on the board and they're going to go rogue. And they're going to side with people on the county.
Right.
So my experience, and I told you guys when you hired me, this is what I've done for 25 years is this world. And I have seen it, and they function, these other boards, they do function, but they're in a constant state of conflict, and they're in a constant state of flux. And so I think that you do have to consider that going into it. That what you think, oh well, it won't be the county running it. We won't have to deal with people at the county. Well,
Yeah.
you really are, because they're going to be their shadow representatives, just like our person would presumably be ours. But you also are going to constantly be dealing with that issue over there. Whereas and to me, this is the big question on the other side. So I've just told you a lot of negatives about why you may want to consider not doing this. But the other side of it is, are we, the town, prepared and able and financially sound enough to tell the county, look, we're going our own way. We're going to do our own water. When wastewater comes along, we'll do that ourselves. And I don't know the answer to that question. That's one of the things that I don't have the knowledge and the background of the finances and et cetera of the town to understand. I know that we're working on the ad valorem. That's not going to go into effect, until they'll start assessing it next year. Which means we're at least a good year away before we start seeing any of those things coming. But, I guess the one that I can look at and see, and I've talked to you guys about this before, is the town of Cross City. Town of Cross City has their own water, has their own wastewater. They have licensed man, works for the town, runs it. We just put in automatic meters where you just drive around, it reads the meters, and the town of Cross City is not a wealthy town. We've got a lot of issues over there. But they have been able to maintain their own water and wastewater. They collect the money from it. And it's a big part of their budget and a big part of their budget. So it can be done. What I don't know is the ability if we say, today, obviously today, but I mean, in the near future, that we're not going to be doing this authority. If we could go down that road on our own right now. But I do think that it's just, you guys should look long and hard at this agreement. And another thing that I saw in this agreement that we haven't talked about is that there's a lot of existing, I don't know, get back and see what it's called. You'll bear with me for just a second. They list them as current obligations of the county. And they go through, A through D list of projects and things like that. And then they also reference current obligations of the town, which are some of our projects, but they're basically, they're putting all these things together. They're saying, okay, so if we go into this, then the authority is taking on the obligations of the county as well as the town too. So basically, whatever projects and agreements, and we don't know what state they're in, that are ongoing with the county become part of this authority. So that's concerning too, as far as we don't know the status of it. Anyway, that's
Our interlocal with this water, did y'all say it's still a year in? Or we still have a year left on it?
Yes.
So that would buy us time before we had to start paying somebody and start collecting our own money.
We spent $349,000 on pipe, $650,000 on engineering, and the county between here and the city limits now can branch off that anywhere they want to.
sounds like.
We paid for them to do that.
Sounds like.
Is that what it's? I know there's more money involved, but
They say that
sounds
it's
like we
gonna
spent a bunch of
cost,
money
the last I heard,
to set them up where they can feed off that line and send it anywhere.
the last I heard, I don't know how accurate this is, but it was gonna be $4 million to $5 million to run the water line from Ellisville to Fort Wayne. And we're paying $1 million.
Well, that was the number we got at
Right.
that up there at the community center that night. They went with the higher project, and I couldn't understand that. I was like, why would you go with a higher project of $5 million when you have a $2.8 million to run to Camore Hills here? And we were still in talking with them, and they were still going to oversee the water system like we were. So they're still going to branch off our water well from Camore Hills. I didn't understand that.
They probably thought it would be
Because they wanted it to go down County Road 18.
Right.
They can, if they run a Millerville, they can feed more people than coming from Camore Hills.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's worth more to them to go ahead and put it in from Millerville, is what I'm saying, for the county. Because the county got to have a lot more coming down 441 and 18 than they would coming from Camore Hills.
Right.
But that means
There's a lot more future there, is what I'm trying to say.
Growth opportunities.
Yes.
Well, they get credits for fire protection, which would have been paid off from that as well.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what.
That's why, I mean,
That's a little
that is
bigger.
common sense. That's why they're doing it, bringing it further.
Right.
wasn't there talk about them not even having enough water once they put in the busy bee down there?
Yeah, the cup.
That's
Yeah,
very
that-
possible.
Right.
Carl knows about
That's
that.
probably a lot of the delay problem. trying to figure out how they gonna feed that new busy bee and pull out.
Yeah, but the agreement was to feed Fort White before anything.
Yeah, I understand that,
Now,
but now they got this opportunity right there in Ellisville.
I'm losing hair showering in this water.
Do what?
I said, I'm losing hair showering in this toxic water.
I'm not showering in it, I'm good.
Well, you are, I'm not, I'm straight city water.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
It's bad.
I agree, but
I
that's
got
why
them
that's
dogs
what is
growing
our
I was
options?
just telling them, they run it every day.
What is our options?
There's two places that I do have to go.
Every day, right in front of my place,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. I actually
Every
prefer the
day.
hydrant on
They
the
run
other
it
side,
off.
but we had to close the hydrant.
Will Spring Road, every day.
Why do we have to run it there every day?
That's,
Tell me.
DEP has two spots.
Probably the furthest point or
It's-
something.
It's their exit
nasty.
line.
It's
It's
nasty.
the end of the line.
Yes, it's
Now,
brown.
I
When I
think
wash
it's
my
going together,
clothes,
but it's
it's
the end of the line.
terrible.
It's terrible. Right now it's brown?
Yeah, it's
Right now,
brown.
Yours is?
Sometimes, yeah.
Hell, mine be brown
You gotta
sometimes.
call me when it is. That's all I can tell you.
Shit, you'll ring your phone off, too. You don't want that.
All right, guys, y'all heard it from the,
Well,
Anything
the other
else to
thing
discuss?
I want to point out, okay, remember, this was a grant that was given to us by the Florida legislature, this $1 million, okay? If we decide we have $349,000 worth of pipe. That's all we would have to show for what we've spent, because all the engineering would go out the window. It's of no use if we don't.
I thought we had a contract with them to give us water. Is that not true?
We have an interlocal agreement
Right.
where they agreed to.
Right,
run
that's
the
a contract.
Yes,
It's a contract.
but remember, the project, we have nothing in writing that says that they have to do that. That's what they agreed to do. We have an interlocal agreement with them, correct?
To bring us water.
That's what I guess, again, these are things that predate me.
Yes.
Me too, obviously.
So if we have an interlocal agreement that says that they have to bring us water, then that's a contract, that I think is enforceable.
Well, what my point is, though, is the state gave us $1 million not to run a water line from Ellisville. They gave us the $1 million to improve our water system.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that what we agreed, we took that $1 million and said, here's what we're gonna do, and we entered into an interlocal agreement. So I still think that
And we
that's
haven't, and we would have nothing to give, to show the state that we've spent the $1 million on other than $349,000 worth of pipe.
Well, what was the,
we'd have the engineering fees of 600,000.
but what is that engineering fee? What did it engineer? Is
The
it the
water
line from Ellisville
Ellisville.
to here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
But that was not part of the original purpose of the $1 million.
doesn't
That's
matter.
irrelevant.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, because again, I really am trying to wrap my head around this. So we have, we got the money, we made an agreement with the county, codified it in an interlocal agreement that said, we're gonna run a water line from Ellisville to town of Fort White, and we're gonna put this $1 million that we got into this interlocal agreement for you to do it, and for whatever reason it hasn't happened. It doesn't matter what we spend on engineering fees, doesn't matter what the pipe is, but those are the facts, right?
Correct.
Okay. Then I don't see why we can't, demand performance of the interlocal agreement, period. Despite what we do here with the authority or anything else. So I think that's the first thing that should happen is completion of the interlocal agreement.
Well, you basically said that in your letter.
But would it be better for us to take the $349,000 worth of pipe and be able to utilize it in branching out and running?
You don't even know what
We
they
don't
are.
need
Yeah,
run
you do
lines.
it with an 8-inch pipe or 6-inch
I don't
pipe.
know. I'm not an engineer.
We don't need the pipe.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with it?
But they were tying into the well, and then we're using all existing pipe, right, Kevin?
No, I'm talking about adding new, I'm talking about adding
New service.
new service. Like,
That's big pipe.
Yeah, that's,
We can't do
You
that
know,
with that.
We can sell it.
Time to sell the wall.
Inflation, probably make more money.
Money for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just have a
Or
question.
if we
Can I
got,
ask a question?
sure.
Okay. My question is, you mentioned some other property where you might be able to drill a well. And that's closer. Can that pipe be used for that? But then you have to pay all the engineering
Right.
fees again.
Yep, so that's what we'd have to go to the state legislative and ask for money to get that pipe to Camora Hills.
Well, I hate to say it, but if we have a contract, like we all interlocal.
But it's like Bill said too, now we just put in a pipeline for them to branch off of and make money, but I mean, you can't, I mean.
Well, I understand if they gonna go ahead and do it, but.
Do the job or give us the
What
money
is our
back?
option?
See, that's a fair way to put it.
Give us,
Say, do the job, or if you're not gonna do the job,
Give us money back.
then
give us
give
the
us all
money
of it.
back, go away,
Yeah.
put that $1 million to our system here.
Yeah,
I mean, if we don't do
That's
this,
common sense.
sure. Now, do I
that's
think that
separate
they'll
from
do
them supposed to be
that?
loaning us water, right?
I mean, that's what the court's
So-
for, right?
Yeah, I think you would have to
I
get
don't
into
understand,
something.
let's get the water, and then we'll.
They're not gonna wanna give you
This
that.
year,
That's why I said we got a contract.
Yeah.
page one, much less 30 pages.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree with
That's what I
nothing
said.
in that.
That's what I said. Do what you agreed to do, and then we'll talk about that.
If it's separate, they should run us the water.
Well, that's basically.
When we asked them that too, we asked them to come down here and meet with us so we could all have this conversation, but the county commissioners won't come down here. So we can't go twice, yeah, and they've been demanding us to come
What
up
does this
here.
have to do with the first agreement?
I was trying to say.
Exactly, that's,
Nothing, not one thing?
Nothing. Nothing.
So they think it does. Now they're holding that over our heads until we, so basically that's what they're saying. But until we decide that we want to move forward with
they have to
this.
have us in this, or this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So they're strong arming us to sign this, to get our water, and A, B, to pass the subdivision. Period.
Yes, pretty much.
Period.
That's what they're pretty much saying. The subdivision was caused all this.
I don't believe 100% that.
And David Krause, Greg Bailey, all of them believe it. So I can tell you, I've talked to them several times.
I don't 100% believe that.
Yep, I can promise you. Yeah, that's what's caused all this right here. So yeah, I can promise you.
No.
Yeah, I promise you. And David Krause said that several times out of his mouth. He said, we had no problem with any of this until the subdivision got on the table. He said, and then that's when all that became a problem.
Absolutely. And we all know everything's been fine until then. And if that's going to be any instance of working interlocal like he's saying, I don't want nothing to do with it. This has been the worst few months of my life.
Yeah.
This nonsense.
Well, and then like you just said, Bill, though, now they're saying that, okay, that's why they're trying to book these meetings, because they're trying to get us all in a meeting to discuss this stuff. They want to discuss it. They ain't nothing to discuss. Run a water line. That's what I keep telling them. That's why Lindsay wrote that letter right there. Give us our equipment, run a water line, and then maybe we'll talk about having a meeting with y'all.
No.
But until all this gets done, there's no need to even talk about
I
that.
agree, if it's not, I mean, if it's two different projects.
Yeah, that's totally separate.
This has nothing to do with that first meeting we had about them running water down there. I agree, Who
When
wrote all this up?
that's a problem.
Who wrote all this up?
We can't get one thing done.
The county, David Krause and them.
The county's utility.
County attorney.
We can't get that done, but they want to start two more authorities, and we can't get the easy thing done. You know what I mean? Yeah, we can't get our water. But
We
they
can't get
want
our
to start
water.
two more things since it started, and
Yep, so that's what I started out with the meeting. Now, it might be making more sense now, but that's where I keep saying, I keep hearing people say in Lake City, Columbia County, we're not doing anything until we get this water authority thing figured out. I'm like, well, ain't nothing to figure out. I'm like, I mean, I'm not, if that's the way you're gonna be, if that's the kind of partner you're gonna be, then we don't really, I mean, listen, I don't wanna hook my wagon to you. I mean, I'm sorry, but, I mean, if that's the way you're gonna be right off the rip, then, anyway, we can't vote on anything tonight, but, I mean, I personally, after seeing the way they've been the last several months, guys, I'm like what Lindsay said about, we give it over, we lose control as a governmental body, okay? We lose control over our water, our sewer. And they know as well as we know, they know where the growth to Columbia County is coming. It's coming this way. The growth is on the south end of the county. So it's coming. So now we can either prosper off of it, or we can let them prosper off of it. And I think that personally, I've thought about this a lot, really, because I told Miss Connie, I said, it's going to put a lot of work on them here, but we'll have to beef our departments up.
We'll have to grow with it.
We'll have to grow.
Well, is it something, I'm sure with like the city across cities and other little small towns like that, I'm sure we can come up with something for the help and the assistance,
Oh, sure.
until we get things going, and that's what we thought with Columbia County, but whatever's happened, and at the end of the day, we gotta get the water.
Right. And I've said this 1,000 times, Mary, you know this ever since I've been mayor. I've said if the town would have been ran for years, even back when Spartan was here, all that, our money was never put in the right places the town was living off of the general fund and the water funds, basically. And that's what's happened. Now it got to a point where we were hearing that our water tanks were failing. This is failing. Our generator ain't no good. It just put us in a bind where we don't have the money to pay for it. So if we can't get a grant, what's your next step? Well, that's when the county came running with the white flag. We're going to help y'all. We're going to do all this stuff. Well, then now that we've gotten through the smoke and the fog and everything's clear, it just don't seem like it's as good as it was. It should be.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we're sitting in a very good position if we do decide to do this. But I'll let y'all, like I said, we'll put it on the next agenda and talk about it a little bit more. And if we need to have another meeting, I think who was that suggested we have another meeting? Carl, yeah. And he might be right. We might need to discuss it again. Give everybody time to think about it and take some stuff. Let's talk about it again. But by the way, let me say this real quick. They're having a meeting on November 1st if any of y'all want to go. I'm not going. I'm not going until we get our equipment and get our water line.
I'm going to be out of town soon.
I ain't going in. I'm sick.
You guys invite them to Fort Wayne?
No, you're out of town.
You invited them
I told her, yeah, but we've invited them several times down here.
to this meeting?
To tonight.
No, I didn't invite them.
First, did you tell them you prefer to have a meeting in Fort Wayne?
I told them that Ronnie and Mr. Lindsay were not available on November 1st. They were both going to be out of town. And
I think this was the meeting that we were going to have before the hurricane came. We wanted to have it here, and they said they couldn't come here.
yes.
They said their bylaws wouldn't let them.
But after I've talked to David Krause, their bylaws, they just have to do a little bit extra work.
Yeah, they got to do a resolution, that's the extra work.
Right. They got to do a resolution and they got to do a little bit
They
extra
don't
work.
want anybody from the south end of the county showing
Right.
up, that's why they're not doing that.
So we just need to get our ducks in order, and then we'll invite them down for a meeting if they want to, and we can tell them whatever we want to tell them at that point. So we got a year. Do we have to honor that contract for a year? Can we break that contract?
Which one?
The interlocal for the water.
I'd have to look at it.
Sounds like we're going to want to keep it.
So,
Until we get
we wrote our $25,000, right? So we
Yeah, but the
need
problem
that.
is it runs out in a year. Hell, just wait a year, and then when it runs out, they still won't put the water line in.
Well, what we should do is look at that interlocal as to the language in it that says what they are required to do. And I don't know, because I don't have it in front of me, and I didn't write it, I wasn't here when it was done. I don't know what it would say about performance. That's the key, is performance. It may have a time limit on it, but the time limit may not trump performance,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, let's look at that. Can you get that to him, Miss Connie, please?
Well,
you got it? Oh, you got it? Okay. I got you.
Here in front of me. Yeah, I got it.
All right. Real quick before we leave, I guess everybody pretty much y'all got enough information. Anybody else got anything? Anybody?
Tomorrow, you need to be there.
Yeah, guys. Tomorrow there's a transportation meeting coming. At what time is it?
6:30.
6:30. They're gonna provide food and I suppose
That's what we spoke about the other night.
Yes.
yeah, the young girl. I think they're providing food and some
Miss
stuff.
Mary wasn't here.
No, Miss Mary.
Her flyer.
There's, but it's really a good deal supposedly about providing to our south end community of transportation for, I guess for students, elderly people, whoever. So we're going to try to go and support it. So if y'all can make it, please come out. It's right there at the community
So
center.
they want you to bring your ideas, so if you have
Right.
ideas for growth,
Yeah.
they're gonna send those to the Department of Transportation.
These girls are from the FSU. They got connection with DOT and all that stuff. So can I bring up, since we're just a workshop, can we bring up I hate to bring it up, but it's a sore subject with everybody, but subdivision.
I'll look at that, because we're having.
Well, I've been asked before I got here to ask, just to let them think about it before the next meeting.
Yeah. I think we advertise this as a workshop for the water things, or whatever. Keep
Okay,
that.
so just leave it at that, okay, all right. Under legal counsel, hey, I got it somehow.
I thought we could discuss anything, as long as you ain't voting on nothing.
Well, when you do a workshop, you're advertising, if you advertise specifically what your workshop's for, that's your workshop.
Gotcha.
That way, again, you're still giving the public notice about what you're gonna be hearing and talking about, even though you're not voting.
And then somebody can come back and say, I didn't know that was, y'all were gonna talk about that.
I would have
been
been there, and
Okay. Never mind. All right, anybody got anything else? Go good?
No, I guess
So
we
we'll
can talk about the collective.
No, we can't talk about the collective. No. Yes, Mr. King did. Yes, Mr. King, I'm sorry.
I would like to recommend that y'all, as the council, look into your contracts with North Florida Professional Services and see what the town has contracted them to do and where their obligations lie, since this seems to be a mixed up mess right now.
Right. Well, we entered into, my understanding, Mr. King, is we entered into interlocal with Columbia County. Columbia County was the one that contracted to Greg Bailey's office, or North Florida.
How about the sewer system?
The sewer system,
We're doing sewer system, yes, sir.
And
We're doing
I
sewer
would
system.
leverage that to my full benefit.
Right.
and we have an agreement with them just to do general,
I thought I'd seen that.
yeah, we did.
an engineer.
Yes, sir.
Well, there might be a little leverage. I see what you're saying. There might be a little leverage there. We could say, hey, yeah. Hey, Greg.
I mean,
You ain't
yeah.
the only dog in the house.
Right.
exactly. There's other firms that
Yeah.
does the same work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who does Carl City use?
Thank you, Mr. King. I appreciate you.
I know that they use, Bailey.
Oh, God.
But they also, they use two firms. They use I can't remember, I believe it's Lochner firm out of Gainesville.
I think we used them before. Lochner. I know that name.
It's
Sounds
Lochner.
familiar.
Yeah, I think it's Lochner.
I think I've used them before.
Yeah. My son worked for them when he was in college, but now works for, it's either Lochner or Lochler. Because, like I said, my son worked for the firm when he was in college, and now he works for the other firm. I can't ever come to
Pretty sure it's Lochner.
It's Lochner.
I think it is too.
One more
Lochner.
question before you adjourn.
But anyway, they use North Florida Professional Services for some things, but their general engineering firm, like ours is with North Florida here, is with Lochner. And they also use Lochner for other things too. So that's
okay.
might not be a bad idea. Someone talk about.
Well, we need to spread our wings a little bit. We think to be busy, we need to have some more contacts, for sure. Yes, contacts, backups, yes.
One other thing, Mr. Mayor, and I sat down and shut up. You can also look at East Point Water Authority, which is in West Florida.
Yes, sir.
And Hamilton County Water Authority, and you might want to do a little research on how that's working out with city, county issues.
Did Hamilton did one?
I thought Hamilton joined Columbia counties.
No, they want to,
I swear they were at the table their last meeting.
but there's nothing official. This is all preliminary,
Okay.
working through there, but they have a water authority that's.
So they already got a working water authority with the city and the county, I guess?
Okay.
With Jasper and Hamilton County, between Jasper and Hamilton County?
Well, Jasper is Hamilton.
I know, you have to have two. You have to have two
Well,
more.
right, so the county and the city
South
join.
County and the city.
Yeah, city and county join, so, okay.
There's a lot of different water authorities.
Well, why would they have been at why are they coming to the Columbia County one? They're trying to join over to authority?
It's something new. They're trying to do a
Think
regional
about it, I'm
approach
sure.
with this authority. So they get in paper and
You had trips, like.
North Florida Professional Services does all the engineering for Hamilton County.
Right, I mean, that's, you can't get a job in Hamilton County without going through a professional.
Right.
But our model, Columbia County's model, was on Okeechobee's.
Right.
Which is one of the better agreements that they come up with, but they had their struggles as well.
Right. Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay. Bill, I'm sorry.
Say, they went ahead and done the water, the county got the water to Fort White. Then, we got to do this agreement with them?
No, sir. No.
We still wouldn't have to?
No, that's something totally separate. Like we said, that ain't got nothing to do with that interlocal with that there. That's something totally separate.
They're trying.
They still can control the water
They're trying to join.
without doing this.
That's
I mean, we're stopping them. What I'm asking, if the water comes to Fort White, like with the agreement,
Down Ellisville.
if we don't do this, it just runs the way it's running now,
no,
the water system?
no, sir. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I understand is that we have this interlocal agreement with them that is allowing them to operate our system, but it has an expiration.
There's a date on it. Right? We have to update it. We'd have to go back to them and say, hey, we want you to continue running the water system.
Or we can terminate it.
Or we can terminate it and say,
That's what
we're
we're
taking
saying, we
our.
have another year of?
Yes.
Is that what
All
you're
these
saying?
interlocals got done about the same time, right, Miss Connie? So they're all about a year from expiring.
So I guess to answer your question, I think I know what you're asking, is that they can run this water to us, but that doesn't mean that they will continue
To
for all time to control our water.
Right.
Then what happens?
Then we would
have to take it back
we
over.
would have to take it back over, you know, which again means we'd have to do some things.
We'll buy water from them?
No,
That is an
No.
option.
Right.
That would be an option because there will be a meter in the system.
Yes. Yes.
That I do know.
We would have to buy the water
I mean,
that we use.
If we use that line.
If we use that line,
If we
if we
use it.
need that line, it would just be the
fee, whatever.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Could be a backup.
Yeah.
And it'd be a good backup to have, and that's what we talked about with Stacy, to have a backup. If one well went down and we had to switch, we could switch real quick to the water line until we got a well back up and then switch back over.
They're trying to push interconnections of cities.
Right.
There. Like over where I have a home down in the Deltona area, they're actually connecting 3 major cities together because they want to have a backup for each of those towns. And
Well, that's common.
that's a common thing that they're doing right now.
And would be a good idea.
So do you think that they would try to use our wells to backfeed? I mean, is that,
No, they couldn't.
They wouldn't want to.
well, with what you're saying, we're gonna have awesome water here pretty quick.
They still wouldn't, your well wouldn't run enough, fast enough
Right.
to do it.
They just want your capacity, they don't want your water.
Well, and then, I mean, guys, if we'd have been smart about it, it's so crazy. What we should have done is reached out to other counties when we first got $1 million and went to High Springs, went to Brantford, and approached them with tying into their water sources and then kind of put some bids in it, put some fillers back. The city of Lake City wanted to do it. They wanted, because they got water right there in Columbia City. And they wanted us to tap. Now, I don't know, they might have crappy water. I don't know what their water is. I don't know. So, but we never investigated that too much. So, but maybe we should do a little bit more investigation.
Lake City has water in Columbia City?
They go down to the school, but they do not go to the city itself.
Right. Well, to the school right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's rock throw from the store, so it's not right there. So, yeah. So what I'm saying, that is still, I consider that Columbia City, so I'm saying that you wouldn't have far to run to the town of Fort White. So, anyway.
No, the city doesn't need something from Fort White.
The
City, Lake City doesn't need something from us.
Right. All right, guys, I'm sorry. Listen, we need to make a decision, so, I mean, right now, I wish I had more information, because you can ask Buster, me and Buster talk once a week, and it's a big joke now about the equipment. I mean, it really is. It's gotten to the point
Well,
where
that's another point.
it's humorous.
Well,
It's humorous.
And
It's
that's
sad.
separate $300,000.
Yes.
That ain't nothing to do with that million.
Yeah, ain't got nothing to do with that million. That's the 300,000 art money. So that's been, but there again, I've heard it from several different people. That's got put on hold too. Now they're going to deny it. I've called David Krause on it. I'm over. That's why I finally called Linda. Said, write them a letter, please. I'm tired of talking to them about it. I'm tired of talking about the water line. I'm tired because when you call them, they act dumbfounded. And I know David's only doing what he's told to do, so I can't hold him accountable for it. He's got bosses, and his bosses are telling him what to tell him. And he's acting like, I don't know, you got to call Kevin, and you got to call, and hell, nobody knows.
Well, so we talk to Kevin, he gives us a date, and then it's separate.
There's always a reason why we haven't got what we got.
But they have dozens of them that we was, available to you
The
for 2
backhoe
days.
is in, it's sitting, the brand new backhoe is in, and it's sitting at Public Works in Lake City.
Why would you bring that down?
The reason for not delivering it is because the attachments supposedly.
It was, well,
It's been sitting there for months.
Well, tell them I'll come pick up the attachment when it comes in.
Oh, I asked David, I said, David, why can't we go ahead and get what? You know what David's response is? I don't know, man. He knows. He knows. He's doing exactly what he's told. Yeah, they're keeping it captive right now. That's exactly what they're doing. So, all right, motion to dismiss, please. Second, good. All in favor, aye? All right, guys, thank you, Miss Mary. Hi, Miss Mary. We'll say bye to you. I didn't say hey to her. Hey to you too.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, man.
You like it? You like it, Stu? Are we on it? Are we on it, Stu?
Tomorrow is very important.
I'll be there. Just don't let me forget.
You know your friends there.
Just so you know, I give the water to
Yes.
everybody was talking about it up here. I said, y'all give it away, everything I got.
Yeah, I remember. And we need to get it back. So
Come up tomorrow.
we need to get it back.
I'm gonna try.
You need to be there.
I'm gonna try.
If you want this place to look like growth to the former transportation.
They can pay just like this. If I would put a gun in the store,